can't ignore its past or the suffering caused by colonisation. That's the message from President Emmanuel Macron as he wraps up a 3-day visit to New Caledonia. He's also been stressing the importance of the French territory, describing it as a model for the future. The trip is being seen as a strongly symbolic gesture towards reconciliation, coming as it does 6 months ahead of an independence referendum. Well, let's take a listen now to what Mr. Macron has been telling reporters.
France would be less alluring without New Caledonia because it gives France a model for future generations. This first model is the one we are building now. It is about accepting diversity with respect and recognition.
Well, for more on the significance of the visit, I spoke with Clovis Casali, our correspondent in New Caledonia, a short time ago.
Like often in these visits, the closing speech was very important in terms of announcements, and President Emmanuel Macron was very clear when he talked about colonization with New Caledonia. He said that there had been segregation against the local Kanaks, that it wasn't at all acceptable, and he said that we will never forget the sufferings of the colonization. In other words, he also said that both sides needed to move on, but that needed to be done thanks to mutual trust. There is no, he didn't say sorry, but there's no denial and no repentance. That's one of the expressions also that Emmanuel Macron used. Emmanuel Macron visited earlier in the day Auvergne, which is a place where 30 years ago exactly, you had a hostage crisis with a pro-independence activists, Kanaks, who kidnapped French gendarmes, which is French police. This led to a to a raid by French commandos, and 19 Kanaks were killed. Well, Emmanuel Macron, coming here to New Caledonia, decided it was time to first take part in those commemorations, but also go and talk to the families. He said he was there to listen to people. He wants reconciliation in New Caledonia, and a very important point, because there is a certain degree of resentment following the colonization of New Caledonia, and there is this referendum on independence coming up in November. Emmanuel Macron told us very often during this visit that he's not here to influence voters, but he's here to tell the Caledonians that New Caledonia is very important to France.
And Clovis, it's been, of course, a highly symbolic trip to New Caledonia. Has Macron, do you think, achieved what he set out to do?
Well, clearly he's met with all parts of the population here in New Caledonia. He met with the tribal chiefs on numerous occasions, and from what we witnessed, the relations were good between the French president and these tribal chiefs, extremely powerful, of course, in New Caledonia. A great deal of respect, and these tribal chiefs are happy to see a French president come and visit them, honoured in many ways. Emmanuel Macron also went to the poorest neighbourhood of Nouméa, and there he really met with poorer parts of society here. Emmanuel Macron in France is often accused, by his critics at least, of being the president of the rich. That's what they call him, his critics. Well, here he tried to show that he was the president of all the French, of the French people, even living in New Caledonia, an overseas territory very far from mainland France, 24 hours away by plane.